All right, let me tell you how it really went down at the Silver Ridge Equestrian Showcase, a story that starts with a wild black stallion, a crowd hungry for spectacle, and a teenage boy in a wheelchair who, honest to God, wasn't supposed to be anybody's hero. Picture this: sun burning hot overhead, the stands packed, the air so full of anticipation you could taste it. People weren't here for pony tricks. No, they came for Thunder, a stallion so untamable, he'd chewed through ropes, shrugged off trainers, and turned more than one expert into a punchline. He was all muscle and attitude, jet black, eyes burning with that stubborn, don't touch me fire you only ever see in Wild Things. And then, just as the ringmaster is winding up the crowd, daring somebody to get close to Thunder, this kid, Julian Price, rolls out into the dirt in his wheelchair. I mean, you should have heard the whispers, the laughter, that sticky blend of disbelief and pity that only happens when people think you're about to embarrass yourself. Let me back up a sec. 2 years ago, Julian was that golden kid, the one who ate up championships, lived on horseback, never thought twice about risk. Then one bad day, one stupid accident on an ATV, and suddenly he's paralyzed from the waist down. He shut out everyone, especially the horses he used to love. So when he wheeled up to that ring, his mom nervously at his side, the crowd wasn't expecting hope. They expected a disaster. Even the announcer was ready to make a joke of it. You know what I mean? But Julian just sat there, hands white-knuckled on his chair, staring Thunder dead in the eye like he could see straight through the beast's wild rage to something no one else could. Now, here's where it gets weird. Julian didn't try to break Thunder. Didn't even try to move, really. He just sat, calm, steady, talking so soft nobody but the horse could hear. I know what it's like to lose control, he told Thunder. I know what it's like to feel trapped. And that stallion, the same one who'd thrown grown men like rag dolls, started to slow. The wildness faded, bit by bit. And then, just like a miracle, Thunder bowed his head. He knelt in the dirt, right there in front of Julian. The whole place went dead silent. Then the applause started, but Julian, he barely seemed to notice. For the first time in years, he looked alive. Like something inside him had clicked back into place. His mom's got tears in her eyes, the trainers are stunned, and the crowd is just trying to figure out what the hell they witnessed. Afterward, people treated Julian like a sideshow at first, whispering about how maybe it was luck. Maybe Thunder was just tired. Maybe, well, you know how people are. But one old trainer, Hank, came up to him and said, "You got something special with that horse, kid. Not everyone can reach a soul that wild." Julian didn't answer at first. He wasn't ready to believe in anything, let alone himself. But he kept coming back to Thunder, day after day, just sitting by the fence, quiet and patient. Thunder started coming closer, nothing showy, just little shifts. But every time, Julian stayed calm, never pushing, never trying to control him. That was the thing. Julian wasn't trying to win. He wasn't trying to prove anything. He was just there, letting the horse set the pace. And slowly, Thunder's walls started to crack. People talked, trainers rolled their eyes, but it didn't matter. The boy and the horse, both broken in their own way, started to heal each other. And then came the twist. Silver Ridge invited Julian and Thunder to enter the companion freestyle event at the state championships. It was a big deal, normally for traditional riders, the whole saddle and reins show. But Julian? He entered with nothing but his wheelchair and Thunder by his side. No tricks. No fanfare. Just trust. When their turn came, you could feel the skepticism rolling off the crowd. Here's the kid in the chair. Here's the so-called wild stallion. And then the music started. Julian wheeled forward, Thunder walking right beside him. No ropes, no saddle, nothing but that quiet connection. It wasn't a circus act. It was something better. Julian reached out, laid a hand on Thunder's neck, and the horse responded like they'd been doing this all their lives. The crowd started to get it, not all at once, but you could feel the shift. This wasn't about taming a beast or overcoming a handicap. This was about two survivors choosing to trust, step by step, together. You know what happened after? The video went viral. Everyone wanted a piece of the story: news, social media, even people who'd never cared about horses in their lives. Of course, the haters came too. It's dangerous, they said. He's not trained. It's just a stunt. You can always count on some folks to miss the whole damn point. Julian struggled with the backlash. He almost quit more than once. But Hank, that old cowboy who'd seen a thing or two, pulled him aside. "Forget the noise," he said. "You're not doing this for them. You're doing it for Thunder. For yourself. That's real, and no critic can take it away." And then came an invitation that would change everything. An equine therapy center for kids with disabilities wanted Julian and Thunder to visit. Julian almost said no. He didn't see himself as any kind of role model, but his mom convinced him. So they went. And man, let me tell you, that day, seeing those kids, some of them unable to speak, light up when they met Thunder, it just broke something open in Julian. One girl, Sophie, who hadn't smiled in months, giggled for the first time when she stroked Thunder's mane. Another boy, Eli, paralyzed just like Julian, guided Thunder around the pen, grinning like he'd won the lottery. It wasn't about tricks or trophies. It was about showing those kids, showing himself, that trust and hope were still possible. Julian realized then, this was bigger than either of them. The bond with Thunder had given him back more than just his confidence. It gave him a purpose. And as they left the therapy center, the sun setting behind them, Julian found himself thinking not about crowds or critics or the past, but about what comes next. Maybe they'd keep working with kids. Maybe they'd compete again. Or maybe they'd just ride into the sunset, side by side, one wild soul and one stubborn survivor, both a little less broken than before. Now, I know some folks are going to argue, say it's just a horse story, or a lucky break, or whatever. But here's the truth. Sometimes life hands you the wildest, most impossible challenge. Sometimes it takes losing everything to learn what trust really means. Julian and Thunder proved you don't have to win ribbons or headlines to make a difference. Sometimes you just have to show up, broken and real, and be willing to meet someone, man or beast, right where they are. So, tell me, what do you think? Is it about control, about winning, or is it about learning to let go and trust when it matters most? Where do you draw the line between risk and reward, between healing and hurting? Drop a comment, share your own story, or just sit with it for a minute. Because if there's one thing Julian and Thunder taught us, it's that real strength comes from connection and sometimes from letting yourself be seen.